This week, Apple unleashes MacBooks, Google shows off its new Pixels, and Facebook is possibly changing their name. Those are some of the tech news stories from this week, and it's Sunday, October 24th, 2021. My name is Kirk Corliss.
And I'm Scott Ertz.
And this episode 96 of the GNC Week in Review podcast, proud partner of the Tech Podcast Network. If it's tech, it's here. Thank you so much for tuning in for this week's episode. We are live on gncweekly.com/live, so please be sure to say hello in chat or comment. Also, be sure to like and subscribe to the GNC WIR channel on YouTube. If you missed the live video, that's okay. You can always catch the replay later. If you are a new listener, please be sure to subscribe to the podcast where you can find on the right-hand side at gncweekly.com, be it Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, or your favorite podcast app. If you have a comment, be it on social media or email, and that all those links can be found at gncweekly.com/connect. So it's a Sunday. And I apologize. We've had a break for a couple of weeks, I think. I had some medical things going on. Scott had Roboticon going on, which, by the way, I enjoyed it. I watched about a few minutes of it. Yeah, I did. I watched a few minutes of it, and I'm fascinated with these kids designing these robots. And I saw the one episode that you guys had on about they were doing the CAD design. That was like really fascinating to see that, how they can construct like the mapping and how the robot's going to go from one area to the other. I was like really like stunned with everything that was happening during that week. That was it sounded like it was a lot of fun.
And that's a normal part of the game process. In this particular case, the game design challenge that you're talking about is actually for a game that doesn't exist. Our CAD challenge team designed a game to be played first robotics competition style on an FRC field. And then teams had to design a robot to play that game and then explain why they designed that robot and not another one. All to play a game that doesn't exist. But in the real world, we do the exact same thing. The kids go through the exact same process to prepare for a season. So it was a really good experience for them this year because, the last 2 years have been weird.
Right.
And most of our teams have been completely without a season for 2 full years, which means if you're talking high school, half of your team has never been to a competition, has never designed or built a robot. So this was a great opportunity to practice. So yeah, that was a lot of fun. I enjoyed that.
And I saw the live, the one, I think it was like last week where I saw the setup where, and I saw the camera. Yeah, I saw some of the interviews you had, and also some of the events that you had
last week. Last week was Alumni Week. We showed off the Next Robotics Challenge, which is my organization that we created a program for alumni to be able to continue to play games on a slightly altered field. And that was a ton of fun. We came up with this idea in 2016, and it wasn't until last weekend that we officially got to show it. So it's been a long time coming. The weekend before that was first robotics competition. That was wild because normally we play last year's game at Roboticon. Well, last year's game was the year before's game, which never happened. And so we came up with our own games this year, including soccer. And I'll put soccer in massive sarcasm quotes because it wasn't soccer. It was definitely a demolition derby. And one of the robots flipped over the field perimeter.
Oh, jeez.
The only thing that kept it from going over completely was it landed on one of my cameras.
Oh, my God.
It is a field the size of a volleyball court. And they managed to flip over onto the 1.5 inch width of one of my cameras.
Whoa! Holy crap! Oh my
So,
goodness!
things happen.
Yeah, well, and all that, it was, but again, when I watched it, a little bit of it, looked like a lot of fun.
A lot of fun.
So that's awesome. Okay, so I'm
YouTube,
awesome.
Roboticon Tampa Bay. If people want to see what we've been talking about, all of the stuff from this past month, 4 weekends. I'm so tired.
I bet you are. I bet you are.
Yeah, like 44 hours of content we produced. I'm tired.
I bet. Well,
but it's all available on YouTube.
Good.
Roboticon Tampa Bay.
Definitely check it out, and I know I did, so definitely check it out because it's really interesting. And again, it's fascinating to see these kids, like, when kids get into different, they pursue different interests, and one of them being computers and coding and designing things. It's that's awesome to see, instead of them not sitting on their butts, not doing anything and watching TV.
Right.
Speaking of content and being exhausted, and you think we're tired now, but CES is coming.
It is. I'm putting in my hardware requests for the studio this week. They've got to be in by Halloween. What we haven't told people yet, and there's going to be a little preview here for our listeners and viewers, is that we're planning on doing it up a little bit this year.
Okay.
We're kind of going to expand it a little bit since we started this thing, except for the first year where we happened to be in the NBC Universal booth.
Mm-hmm.
We've basically done it at a folding table with a black tablecloth. The plan is for that to not be the case this year. That's all people are going to get.
Good.
I'm gonna take the cue of a local chef who was on Top Chef a number of years ago, Jeffrey Jew. He as he was preparing his new restaurant, he was taking these very close-up photos of things with no context. I think we will be publishing similar things leading up to CES with no context as to what it is we're doing. But it's going to be a different experience this year than it's ever been before.
Well, I know this because with this podcast, because I had everything registered for this podcast, because when I as media for myself, I'm executive producer, as all know for Geeking Central, I'm executive producer. So when I went to register for the media credentials for GNC Week in Review, I got in.
Yay!
So that's awesome. So I'm happy. I'm happy.
That's just one more thumb in the eye of poor Chris.
Right.
So the only person I've known in years to have their credentials decline.
Scott, you have no idea when I put everything in, and I was going to talk about this, but I was off for I was out for a couple of weeks, and I was going to let you know what I found, what I did. So yeah, I put everything in, and I was like, when I got the exception, the approval, I was like jumping like 10 feet in the air.
Yeah, I would imagine.
And
I remember the first time we got approved because it was right at.
Yeah.
So we were a little worried about it, but yeah, it's so exciting to get your first approval.
Oh, I was so happy, and I put in GNC Week in Review. I did put in Tech Podcast Network, because technically it is under Tech Podcast Network. So, but I was such a happy puppy, and then I'm like, I'm going to plan things out a little bit. And and then last week or this past week, I booked my hotel.
Nice.
That's in. I'm at the Plaza.
You're at the Plaza. Good.
I'm at the Plaza. Got a good deal. Got a good deal on airfare. I'm leaving Saturday, January 1st.
Me too.
That's my plan. Cool.
Unless we have to drive some big things out, in which case we'll be leaving early with a car.
So that way, the reason why, and for those who don't know why some of us leave on Saturday, is because Monday and Tuesday is press day or media day, excuse me. And Sunday usually is we set everything up, and also Scott will do the pre-show Sunday evening.
We'll see what that looks like this year. Since CES is starting a day later,
True.
We don't know what setup is going to look like. Normally we set up on Sunday.
That's true.
But we may not have access to the building till Monday this year. Robbie hasn't confirmed for me when we'll have access.
Oh, okay. So, but I was thinking maybe we'll talk about this afterwards. Is to because I was thinking, for our end of year, what I can because I what was great was because if you those don't hit it, watch Plug Us Live last year, there was when we were all virtual for CS 2021. Is what I'm thinking is, I had the idea in my head is do a pre-show of CES. It's 2 weeks before, but
Mhm.
we can bring like you know Danielle and Chris and do something.
Todd,
Todd,
Marlowe.
yeah, do everything on that night on December 19th. So it'll be 2 weeks, literally 2 weeks or 2.5 weeks or
Yeah.
so. So that's what I was thinking as far as our end of year show. Half of it, do the tech news of the week, and then the other half we can just
Yeah.
solely do that. So that's
Yeah.
what I was
That's
thinking.
the plan is to do a big TPN CES preview again this year.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. So that's what. So basically, yeah. So I'm excited. So I'm really excited for this year. I cannot wait. Everything's booked. Days off from work are booked.
excellent.
So I am a happy. I'm like so like with all this what's going on with me medically. Everyone's telling me, well, Kirk, you guys have CES to look forward to. And like, you're right. You're damn right I do. You're damn right I do.
I gotta have something to look forward to.
Right, exactly. So all this stuff that goes on in their world and everything this year has been crazy, just like last year. But it's something that I'm looking forward to it, and we're gonna have a lot of fun. More to come, because I know that we're gonna have behind the scenes stuff, and I hope that for our podcast and also for our YouTube channel, you're gonna see behind the scenes stuff. We're gonna have behind the scenes of the studio, behind the scenes of interviews and interviews on the floor. We're gonna have to do a lot of cool stuff. So we'll so there's a lot of stuff that we're going to be doing, and Scott already alluded to some tiny bit, but definitely stay tuned.
There's a lot more.
There's a lot more, and there's going to be the live blog, which was awesome because we're going to post a lot of cool stuff on the live blog as well. So definitely more to come. Speaking of more to come, and actually, I'm sorry. Speaking of things that were like exciting this week, a lot of news this week.
Yeah,
it's condensed down a little bit because Scott got F5 Live later on this evening.
I actually don't. Tomorrow.
Okay. Tomorrow. Okay, cool. Okay.
So we're good.
Good. All right, cool. All
Time
right,
is fine for us.
All right, cool. Okay.
This will be the last time it's tomorrow.
Right. Right. So
back to normal next week.
Cool.
But Roboticon made it impossible to prep for a show tonight.
Yeah, that's understandable. So, all right.
Cool. You did the hard work on this one, so I can do this one tonight.
You got it. All right. So yeah, a lot of news this week. So it's a little condensed, but it's packed full of stuff this evening on this episode. So first up, on Monday, Apple held this Unleashed event, which was pre-recorded and had CEO Tim Cook in a field away from Apple Park in Cupertino, California, which for most people, including myself, scratching their heads on why he would have him in an event with him in a field, which boggles my mind. So starting off with AirPods are getting an upgrade. There's a new look, spatial audio support, the Pro Line's quote force sensor for controlling music and calls, excuse me, and improved sweat/water resistance. Okay. Apple says the battery life has improved as well, bumping the promised runtime from 5 hours to 6 hours on a single charge. The third gen AirPods will ship for $179 beginning this week. Now, Apple had its fast chip with its M1 last year. Now they're doubling down with not one but two M1 chips, the M1 Pro and M1 Max. Apple is saying the M1
because they have a naming convention and they're not letting it go.
Right.
It is Pro and Max, and you can deal with it.
Right.
Doesn't matter if it's the iPhone or what. Mm-hmm. Our products are called Pro and Standard, Pro and Max, and that's what deal with it.
Right. Apple is saying the M1 Pro CPU is up to 70% faster than the original M1 with a GPU up to 2 times faster, 32 gigabyte of unified memory, and 200 gigabytes of memory bandwidth. The M1 Max, meanwhile, bumps the unified memory up to 64 gig. Excuse me, both the M1 Pro, M1 Pro See, this is a tongue twister. An M1 Max supports up to 10 CPU cores on the GPU front. The Pro does up to 16 core, while the Max supports up to 32 core. Now they see MacBook Pros. It comes in two sizes, 16-inch or 14-inch. MagSafe is back, to bring that back. The touch bar is gone. And to be honest with you, when I saw the MacBooks previously, wasn't a big fan of the touch bar as well. That's good. It's gone.
It was one of the first things when they announced it. It was one of the first things that Abrams said was going to be a problem for them because nobody buys a Mac on purpose, right?
Mm-hmm.
The people who own them are people who are developers for the iPhone.
Mm-hmm.
It's the only reason I have one. But the function keys are the thing you need the most. And having like this constantly changing, you never know what they're going to be, key structure was not going to be a success for anybody. And he was right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, a lot of people have echoed that sentiment as well. It also has ports, including an SD card and an HDMI port, 120 hertz ProMotion support for similar scrolling. It's got a camera notch. The camera has been upgraded to 1080p. And that's a lot of people were a bit pissed off about the camera notch. Irregardless, it was there. There's still a notch, and it doesn't give like all the a lot of people are talking about crumbling about like you with the screen real estate.
It is the most hated feature of the modern iPhones.
Mm.
Why would you listen to your customers say, this is terrible, please get rid of it, and then implement it on another product?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's like, was this in development 4 years ago and you didn't know that everybody was going to hate it? And you just couldn't, it was too late to change. The thing that sucks the most is that if you try to do a full screen with an app on a Mac, which is hard enough as it is, you don't know how it's going to behave, because now developers have to choose. Is it going to go full screen and incorporate the notch, or is it going to go below the notch and work like a computer? You don't know. Every app's going to be different. Hooray for inconsistencies.
Right.
Hello, Apple. Welcome to Android.
Right. Also, the camera has been upgraded to 1080p.
Thank God. They had to do something to offset the horribleness of the notch.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so you have the good, and then they're bad. Then you have the switches to the good. Yeah, with Apple promising double the performance in low light. The entire audio system has been overhauled with larger tweeters and woofers for improved audio fidelity.
Which makes sense considering when Apple has switched to the M1 series, the entire computer is about this big. If you've seen the inside of the iMacs, they are comical because there's nothing inside of them. And so this is going to be the same thing. There's nothing inside of it. So you might as well take advantage of that empty space, fill it with batteries, fill it with better speakers, something, Yeah.
And I was, like I said, when I was I'll be back in it, we and I talked about I was looking at a laptop. I was leaning towards getting a MacBook, but it was a little too costly for me. So hopefully maybe, I'm going to probably get one, the lesser known, not the year before MacBooks Pros. I was thinking about getting one before I got Dell XPS, and I love it, but it's just the camera's poor quality. The camera I have now on this is not that great, but it's it's a camera. But
yeah, but a Logitech C920 for $33 is a whole lot less expensive than a MacBook.
That's true too. Well, no,
you can put that on a tripod.
No, that's true too. I was thinking about getting. It was not necessarily the camera, but there was a lot of things I liked about it because the processor. There's a lot of things I wanted in it because then I mentioned when I was going to Tom's Hardware. I mean, there's a laptop finder, and I was looking what I wanted as far as processing and different programs, and it did recommend the MacBook Pro. It did. A lot of different programs I use, especially for working on for this podcast and GNC, there's a lot of things that I wanted. It did recommend the MacBook Pro for it. A lot of things, a lot of the features I wanted for it. But
yeah, they get a high rating because they get good consumer scores. That's a lot of why they're recommended. Because they get good consumer scores. Although, in the last year or two, they dropped from number 1 to like number 6 on the laptop mag overall scorecard. Like it was a huge drop off.
I didn't see that. I have to look at that. But yeah, definitely, I'm probably going to think about maybe possibly getting one. Maybe not this one because it's
Yeah.
It's if you maxed out one, it's like over like $3,000 to $4,000.
Yeah, it maxes out at $64.99.
Exactly. That's yeah. I was like, when I saw that, I was like, holy crap! I would like one, but no way.
I could buy 2.5 of the replacement of the highest end replacement for my laptop for that.
Yeah,
that's not going to happen.
No, it's not. The 14-inch model will start at $19.99, while the 16-inch model will start at $24.99. Other little tidbits they were announced. You'll be able to ask Siri to play different themed playlists, be it Apple Music, like a playlist for relaxing, dinner parties, or hiking. Apple's also introduced a new $5 per month quote voice plan for Apple Music. For what is understanded being reported, it's a cheaper plan for those willing to ditch the interface and use only Siri for queuing up songs. Which
is that what it is?
Yeah,
I heard about it and I'm like, I don't know what this is. I'm gonna move on.
Yeah, it was for a lot of people. A lot of people deadpanned it because it's not really worth it, and a lot of those people saying that Siri sucks when it comes to bring up music.
Oh, it's awful.
Yeah. And also there's the HomePod Mini will now come in 3 new colors: dark blue, orange, and yellow. And I don't know if you, Scott, I don't know if you saw the presentation or the photos. Does it look like a candle to you?
Yes.
Okay.
It absolutely looks like a candle.
Good.
Especially with the new colors.
Good. Okay.
It has kind of always looked like a candle.
Yeah.
But this pastel orange, because Apple has definitely gone pastel at this point. All of their stuff is in this weird new color palette, and that pastel orange or whatever it is. Oh, right. Oh yeah, my mom would have that on top of the record cabinet, the stereo cabinet at Halloween for sure. That is a candle. And
I can see the little light, flickering.
Oh, I'd have to. Oh, if I had one of those in my possession, I would get one of those little battery-powered votive candles and set it on top.
Right.
You can't not.
Right. When I saw the event, I saw the event, and I'm just cracking up when I saw that, and I'm like, that looks like a candle, or one of those. I can't remember the name of the candle company. What's it called? Yankee? I just can't. That's not Yankee, but it was it's something else that there's another candle company that makes candles.
I don't know. I can't get near them, so
okay.
I try not to pay attention.
I just had this weird vision in my head. Like I said, that all I saw is that when I saw that one orange one, or the orange one, I can just picture that little light flickering, bouncing around a little bit.
Absolutely. So it's important. I want to note a couple of things on the MacBook that are important. The return of MagSafe does not mean the end of proper charging. The USB-C charging still works on the USB-C port that is on it, or 2 USB-C ports, I think. Doesn't matter. You can so if you're upgrading from a machine from a couple, the last 2 years, 3 years that have been charging on USB-C, your charger will still work. You just also get access to MagSafe 3, which looks identical to MagSafe 2, so they might be interchangeable. I don't know. We'll find out, but MagSafe 3 for sure has higher charging, so it's a faster charge, just like the last generation of USB-C charging. It'll be a faster charge But my guess is 2 will work, but not vice versa. You probably can't charge an old one with the new one, but you can probably charge a new one slower with the old one. Just a guess, though. We'll know when we see one for real. But that's important to know. I really like that the SD card slot is back. Mm-hmm. I've got one on here. I use it all the time. I actually use it during development on the MacBook all the time.
Okay.
So it's nice to have that back. And if they're trying to pretend that Macs are good for production, which they're not, but if you're going to pretend that they are, you have to support SD cards natively. It is the lifeblood of the creative. So the loss of that was a really weird choice in the last couple of generations, because why? It's not like you were trying to save space inside and you had to dump the SD card slot. It's the thinnest thing on the computer.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Right.
So I don't know. But at least we know that the return of MagSafe isn't the end of USB-C, which obviously makes sense if the EU goes through with their stuff, which I don't know that we've talked about on the show. That may have happened after we took our break. The EU wants to require all devices to charge on USB-C.
I think it was before the break. I think it's been so long.
Yeah, if we didn't talk about it, that's what's coming. The EU wants to require all devices to charge on USB-C, so Apple would be stupid to have tried to remove that. And so they didn't. Hooray.
Yeah. Well, good news all around. And there were a lot of people deadpanned about the
notch.
The notch, and also deadpanned again with Tim Cook out in the field. And I think I saw a few memes popping up.
Yeah,
that was the most.
If nobody has put The Sound of Music over top of that scene yet, shame on them.
I was envisioning like the movie The Field of Dreams. The apples are coming. The apples are coming.
If you build it, they will come. Oh, yeah. Ask the Newton how well that worked.
Right. Oh my goodness. All right. Other news this week, and after all the rumors and leaks that have run amok for many months,
the worst kept secret in technology
for the past, I think it's been going. I think these rumors have been flying and leaks, and it's been almost a year
since the 5 came out.
Yep. Exactly. Yep.
The 5 came out on Tuesday, and the leak started on Thursday.
Right. Right. Well, Google officially announced the Pixel 6 and Pixel 6 Pro on Tuesday. As the rumors have noted, the Pixel 6 starts at just $599, and the Pixel 6 Pro is $899. You can order them right now, and it'll ship later this week. The 2 Pixels runs on Google's new Tensor system on a chip, which has 2 super fast X1 CPU cores, 2 slightly slower A76 cores, and 4 A55 efficiency cores. The real magic of the Tensor is the dedicated machine learning hardware. Google's saying features like assistant and speech recognition are capable of new feats of artificial intelligence voodoo. Plus, Tensor can run ML tasks locally, so less of your data leaves your phone.
Plus, even more importantly than less data leaving your phone, it means it works offline. So when are you going to need translation services? When you're not home, which might mean you don't have a data plan. If you're going traveling internationally, you may not have an international data plan. And so all of a sudden, this thing that you had hoped for, translation services, both voice and visual, they don't work. No. So building their SoC on the TensorFlow framework, the whole SoC is designed around TensorFlow. Having that concept means you can do all this stuff offline. Normally, you'd have to have a special dedicated board. In fact, if you were watching Roboticon yesterday, we had a couple of conversations about this with SOCOM, and this prevents that. You can do it right from your phone. It's wonderful.
Yep. And both phones also have a redesigned body with an enormous camera visor on the back,
which Aiden describes as sunglasses for your phone.
That's a good way to put it. Google's new primary sensor is 50 megapixel. And it's backed by 12.
I'm going to repeat that. 50 megapixel. Finally, somebody has beaten out Nokia from like a decade ago.
Yep. And it's backed by a 12 megapixel ultra wide and the Pixel 6. The Pixel 6 Pro adds a 4-time telephoto lens, and it's Google's first periscope cam ever. There are also new features like Magic Eraser, which can remove distracting objects from your photos. You can even recognize and sharpen face in photos. The Pixel 6 has a 6.4-inch 1080p OLED, and the 6 Pro ups that to 6.71 inches at 1440p. The Pro phone also has a 120 refresh rates, or 120 hertz refresh rate, whereas the regular Pixel 6 just runs at just 90 hertz. 90 hertz. Inside the Pro has more RAM,
which is still faster than your eyes.
Inside the Pro also has more RAM, 12 gig versus 8 gig. Along with the announcement about the new phones, it also released Android 12 to the Pixel-owning masses. That software will be pre-installed in the Pixels, complete with Google's new Material U interface. Also announced was Pixel Pass. The Pixel Pass subscription includes a phone, 200 gigs of drive storage, YouTube Premium, and more, starting at $45 a month with Pixel 6. The Pixel 6 Pro bumps the price up to $55. Pixel Pass subscriptions run for 2 years, at which time you can upgrade to the latest Pixel. And for record, I've been talking about getting the Pixel 6 Pro. I've ordered mine. I cannot wait.
What color?
Black.
Ah, see, I want the orange one.
I knew you were going to get the orange one. Yep.
I want the orange one. The first time I saw it, I thought it looked unbelievably stupid. And I just had to have it.
Yeah, I'm not a color guy. I know there's some people that I know you love colors and everything like that, but me, I couldn't. I like black. It's fine. I'm just not really a color guy.
Yeah,
I'm not.
Even this dumb thing is blue as an iPhone gets.
Right. Yeah, I am so excited. And with the Android 12, I downloaded.
It's a great looking phone. It looks silly, and I love that. I am fine with the sunglasses. I am fine with the fact that the thing above the sunglasses is a different color than the thing below it. The fact that the back is 2-tone, well, I guess 3-tone if you take the sunglasses into effect. I'm fine with that. I think it's unique. Even the black one, I think the top slash is like a slate gray to the all black bottom. I think the 2-tone actually looks cool. I think it's something that is like universal. I think everybody can get behind the slight 2-tone difference. I think it's a cool design.
I do too, and a lot of people were surprised that, even including me, that it was going to be under $1,000, or it's at
even the Pro version.
Even a Pro version. I was like, when I saw the announcement, I was like, holy crap! I was like, people were expecting this to be in $1,000 range as a premium phone, and but
that's never been Pixel's goal. Pixel's goal has always been to be an affordable flagship. And they managed to add all this stuff that Samsung's had for a couple of years, right? What they're calling the Magic Eraser and stuff like that. That's which I imagine Apple's going to take issue with, because people associate the word magic with Apple products, the Magic Mouse and stuff like that. But that notwithstanding, these are features that Samsung has had for a couple of generations now, but they're doing it for like 2/3 of the price.
Yeah.
Which is huge. That's a massive bonus, for consumers. It's a good looking phone. The camera is ridiculous. If I was buying a phone simply for a camera, Abrams already said that this is likely to be an upgrade for him too. because he uses the camera on his phone for work for Tom's Hardware. He's like, this would be a great upgrade for me. This could be, I'd be happy to have this as a development phone and to carry it around during things like CES.
Right.
There are so many great uses for this.
That's one reason why I got it, because, well, that's one reason, but because I have a Pixel 3 XL, and part of the reason was getting the upgrade was for that, solely take photos and video for CES and other things. But as far as like the other things as well. But speaking of Android 12, now I'm going to show you guys, if you're watching live on video right now, if you're listening on audio, I downloaded Android 12. And let me tell you, I'm not really a big fan because the bubbles. And let me just get off screen here. Okay.
You got to be careful of bubbles.
Yeah, right. So I don't know if you guys can see it. It's a little very washed out a little bit, but there's all these bubbles here. This is the clock right here.
If you kill your brightness basically all the way down to nothing on the phone, it makes it easier to see. Avram and I learned that a couple years ago.
Oh, okay, thanks. Okay.
Because the camera is going to try and autocorrect. Yeah, there we go.
Okay.
Now I got content.
So these are all bubbles. Everything used to be straight. And if you go, okay. So this is the clock right here. This is the clock right here. And the widgets I have here for Google and everything like that.
Yeah.
Everything's out. It's like all this coming out, and everything, like my calendar. Well, I don't want to show you my other stuff here because it's personal. But let me just see if I can do this real quick.
Yeah, you got to be careful. A particular high profile tech podcaster a couple of years ago managed to expose an affair he was having live on air because he was showing off his personal device.
Yeah, I don't want to. I'm just gonna go like this. No, I can't do that. No, I'll fix it later. I'll do it later. But yeah, so like, these are all these are all bubbles, and like a notification bar, it's bubbles. I don't like it. I'm not a fan of it.
It is the current design aesthetic.
Right. Yeah, I'm not a.
You're gonna see it everywhere over the next couple of years.
Yeah, I'm not.
So.
And as far as like navigating like to apps, like before, you can upload like when you go up, and you can with the different opening up the apps and trying to switch. It's a pain in the butt. I don't like it. I'm not a big fan, but for the most part, everything else is fine. But I'm not really happy with the aesthetics of it. If that makes any sense.
Well, that's the current trend. So it is what it is for right now.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to deal with that. All right. Other news this week from The Verge. Facebook is rebranding and changing its company name as soon as this coming week. Apparently, Facebook will have a new name that will reflect its focus on creating a metaverse. It's also possibly connected to this unreleased social virtual reality world called Horizon Worlds. Facebook itself would likely retain the Facebook branding and will be under a new parent company along with Instagram, WhatsApp, and Oculus.
Basically, this is what Google did, right? A couple years ago when the parent company became Alphabet, which is a horrible name, but doesn't matter. And then everybody underneath kind of stayed as they were. Naming your corporation after your product is never a great idea for this reason. People have not been able to wrap their heads around when Facebook is all capitalized, it means the corporation, and when it's all lowercase, it means the website, which wasn't a great idea either. When they did that is when they should have renamed the company. That was a huge mistake, missed opportunity. This should have happened basically when they bought Instagram, but before they went public, this should have happened. But whatever.
Okay. Well, The Verge is saying the name change is a closely guarded secret at the moment, and not even all senior leaders have knowledge about it. Mark Zuckerberg has long talked about wanting to make Facebook a metaverse company, and has been taking steps towards that goal. Early this year, Facebook formed a team dedicated to building a metaverse, and just a few days ago, it talked about adding 10,000, quote, high-skilled jobs across the European Union over the next 5 years to build its virtual and augmented reality experiences. It also released the Ray-Ban Stories augmented reality smart glasses in September, and those are god-awful.
Yep.
Engadget reached out to Facebook for a statement. And the company spokesperson, Joe Osborne, says, quote, "We don't comment on rumor or speculation."
Which is corporate speak for yes.
Right. Right.
Because otherwise it'd say, I have no idea what you're talking about.
Mm-hmm.
So when they say, we don't no comment, that is them saying yes.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. In no uncertain terms. And probably we're going to keep an eye on this because something tells me we're going to see exactly what's going to be the name. I would love to know. And I'm kind of curious what you all think, what the name is going to be, the new company name or new branding for us. I'd like to know exactly what would be like a really choice name for a new name if you were to pick a name for Facebook or its new name.
Hopefully not something as horrible as Alphabet.
Okay. Let me see. I would say if it's a social network.
But they're trying to expand past social. They're getting into this metaverse nonsense.
Right, metaverse. Okay. Well, I can't say anything about there's AT&T Verse or
Uverse.
Uverse, right? I can't tell you Uverse. Worldverse? No, that's
Connected Planet.
Connected Planet. Actually, there's a website called Connected Planet. Actually,
yeah. Well, see, it's a good name.
It's a good name. Trying to think what would be a good name.
If you're trying to separate far enough away from the products themselves, maybe Connected Ventures, something like that would be a good thing. But they're going to try and be more clever, and clever almost never equals good.
Well, a lot of companies, the company that I work for, took a word from Latin, and I can't remember the other. It was one word for Latin, and he used the other word. I can't remember the other name of it, but they had a focus group, and they were throwing out all these names out, and they said, "Well, we'll try this Latin name versus the Latin name and this other word," and I'm like, that's it, and then it stuck. And some people to this day still can't pronounce it.
I prefer Swahili for doing that. I tend to use it for like development names and not actual product names or things. But yeah, Swahili works real well. We built a product that under development was called Tuzo, which I believe means something like secured or something. And it was an authentication platform.
Okay.
So yeah, that's a good well to go to as well, is grabbing, not commonly spoken languages in the West.
Huh. I'm still trying to think. For whatever reason, I'm still trying to think of a name. So I'd like to know, what you guys all think. Let us know, gncweekly.com/connect on a name for this company, and be kind of interesting. It'd be kind of interesting to toss around a little bit. Love to hear from you guys about it. All right, other news this week, and you got to love how government gets into things. Actually, it's a good thing, maybe. The Consumer Financial Protection Bureau wants to know more about how tech giants are using people's financial information. On Thursday, the agency issued orders to collect information on consumer payment products offered by 6 large tech companies and their, quote, underlining business practices. According to the CFPB, the orders were issued to Google, Apple, Facebook, Amazon, Square, and PayPal. CFPB Director Rohit Chopra said in a statement, quote, faster, frictionless, and cheaper payment systems offer significant potential benefits to consumers, workers, or families and small businesses in the United States. But payments businesses are network businesses and contain and can gain tremendous scale and market power, potentially posing new risks and undermining fair competition. The CFPB is looking to gather information on a broad range of topics related to payment systems, including how consumer financial information may be shared across products and whether company policies can limit consumer choice. The tech companies didn't merely respond to comment, of course, but the Electronic Transaction Association, which represents all the companies except Facebook, I wonder why, said in a statement that it and its members are, quote, deeply committed to protecting consumer data and digital transactions. ETA CEO Jody Kelly also says, adding, quote, from encryption to tokenization, excuse me, we devote enormous resources to keeping digital transactions secure. Part of keeping consumer data safe is protecting against fraud. The digital transaction industry works constantly to detect and address fraud. The industry uses aggregated data, artificial intelligence, and predictive analytics to analyze digital transactions, looking for system-wide transactional changes as part of its global fraud detection efforts. Kelly also says that the ETA will work with Chopra and the CFPB on this, quote, important effort. So good on that.
I take some issue to part of the director's statement that they can gain tremendous scale and market power, potentially posing new risks and undermining fair competition. If that were the case, Square wouldn't be on this list, because Square came up out of nowhere and challenged everybody, and nobody could say anything about it because they had a new approach, which scared everybody in the industry, and everybody has had to try and follow what Square did, and they came up out of nothing. So just because a company is established, like PayPal, because PayPal is who was hurt and scared most by Square. Now I understand they had a lot of funding because they were funded by Jack Dorsey, but still,
as crazy as he is,
but still, PayPal was the establishment in this particular case, and Square came up with a better idea and smacked them around. Oftentimes, better ideas can break through any scale if done right, and that's what happened with Square. And Square's on this list, so yes, they're at scale now, but there's nothing that Square does today that PayPal doesn't, that Chase doesn't, that you know what I mean? That there's a lot of companies not on this list that directly compete with Square and possibly do it better. And somebody with a better idea. Look at PayPal. PayPal came up and scared all the banks, right? All the credit card processors, they came up out of nowhere because they had a better idea. Then Square came up and had an even better idea. Better ideas oftentimes can beat scale. So I take a little bit of issue with the statement, but generally, yes. These companies in particular have a scale that's frightening.
Exactly. And also too, with a lot of, we've heard news stories and things of getting people hacked and things of that nature. It's good on, and I'm, the government, has, I always believe that, sometimes government shouldn't be involved in every single thing.
Sure.
But with this, though, it's good because it's affecting consumers on from one end of the spectrum to the other. But I agree with you that,
especially when it comes to financial stuff, I'm 100% on board with the idea of making sure that these organizations are doing things safely, that they're not sharing things with one another that they shouldn't, creating, a monopoly ring, for example. But the idea that just because somebody's big doesn't mean they can't get knocked down. Ooh,
oh, absolutely.
Ask MySpace about that.
Oh yeah.
Just because somebody's big doesn't mean a better idea won't knock you off your platform. So that's the part I take issue with. The idea of making sure that things are safe and secure for consumers, 100%. Making sure they're not working together to create some sort of a monopoly ring like Apple did with the book publishers, 100%. Totally on board. So, yeah.
Speaking of Google, on Wednesday, Alphabet announced that Walgreens is partnering with Wing to bring drone-based deliveries to a portion of Texas's Dallas-Fort Worth region. The drugstore giant will be the first to take advantage of a new rapid drone deployment system being unveiled by the Alphabet subsidy. In a lead up to this week's announcement, Wing has been testing drone flights at the Fort Worth-based Hillwoods Alliance Texas Flight Test Center. In the coming weeks, it will begin test flights in the city of Frisco and town of Little Elm and the surrounding region, with future commercial expansion expected in the coming months. A representative told TechCrunch, quote, "In April of 2019, Wing became the first drone operator to be certified as an air carrier by the Federal Aviation Administration, allowing us to deliver commercial goods to recipients miles away. And we got an expanded version of that permission to launch in Virginia in October 2019. Now we're working toward permissions for this expansion, and we'll be conducting test flights and demonstrating our new capabilities in the area in the coming weeks as part of that process. Prior to launching our service in DFW, we will work with authorities at the local, state, and federal levels to secure all the appropriate permissions. In this initial implementation, drones will take off from the Walgreens parking lot. The system, which will effectively use the drones containers as hangars, can also be deployed on roofs or next to buildings." Alphabet said in a release, quote, "Until now, this type of service in the United States has been limited to smaller towns where land usage is less crowded and complex. Wing's reliable aircraft and advanced flight planning and routing capabilities make it uniquely capable of operating a highly automated drone delivery service in more crowded, complex operating environments." I hate going to a drugstore, and it's a pain in the butt to go into the store, wait for your prescription, pay for it. So for me, if there was a Walgreens near me, they're going to start this out small. Bring them down to me.
So here's what I hear. Alphabet is making a strange decision on where to start this, because it would seem that people in the Dallas-Fort Worth area are going to be the ones most likely to shoot these things out of the air. There is already, especially in Texas, there is already a huge backlash against the idea of drone stuff in general. And so I can absolutely see people shooting these out of the air. We've had it happen in the past. In fact, I believe there's an example from Texas of a drone being over somebody's property. It was too low. And so somebody shot it down. Dallas-Fort Worth seems like a weird test to start, a weird place to start this test.
I had no idea that there was actually people shooting down. Wow.
Delivery drones. Absolutely. It's happened several times. Because they don't take private property into consideration on their routes like a car does that only stays on roads. Right. They just fly wherever they fly. And if they're too low, in a lot of states, it's totally legal to knock them out of the air.
That is true. But I know from what I understand, and I've been following, Dallas is like the hub for having all these various projects like Tesla's down in Texas.
Oh yeah,
a lot of big companies are putting their all their money and resources.
A lot of companies are moving to Texas,
Texas
and Florida.
Right.
Texas, Florida, and Tennessee are your big three right now.
Right.
Where tech companies are moving.
So I honestly, but to know that it's odd that they're starting it there, I think maybe because again, they're proving ground for
Austin.
Right.
Austin. Tested in Austin. way less likely to get shot out of the air in Austin. But Dallas, I mean, Texas has got open carry. And Dallas has leaned into it.
That is true.
Because Dallas is still cowboy land.
That is also true.
Yes, I understand tech companies going to Texas, Florida, and Tennessee. I get it. There's a lot of good reason to do so.
Yeah.
But testing something that has public perception issues for privacy, like drones, in Dallas, doesn't know. Seems like a mistake. Austin would be the place to do it.
Well, again, I think it's great that
I'm fine with the concept. Yeah. I have more than once had what's the one that's got a weird name? I don't know. Doesn't matter. It's a delivery service that either has a relationship with or maybe is even owned by Uber.
Waymo?
No. Oh. It's a regular delivery service. I can't remember what it's called. But I've used it to get stuff from CVS and or Walgreens.
DoorDash?
Nope.
Oh, okay. I'm just grabbing my shorts.
I can't. No, it's got a stupid name.
Okay.
I can't think of what that stupid name is now. But even during like MetroCon, I had. Oh, I thought that was going to work. I tried to build it into a sentence. I had some stuff delivered from a CVS to where we were staying during the convention because that's when I hurt myself. And yeah, I totally understand. Totally understand the idea of not wanting to go to the grocery store. If we could have had CVS or Walgreens easily deliver to the condo during CES 2020 when Mom was sick, that would have been great. Yeah. Instead, Linda sent one of her people to go get it for her and take it to the condo, which was the nicest thing ever. But yeah, I get the concept.
Yeah.
It
just the positioning of it having in one area where this is news. I didn't know that
I follow drone stuff.
Yeah.
Real close. Because it's the current Wild West, right? Is drones. It's the thing. It's the reason why even when I was a kid, I basically said, no, flying cars are never going to be a thing.
Right.
Because you can barely trust people to drive on predetermined paths when they're physically mapped out on the ground. People still run into each other and telephone poles and things. Now you're going to put people in the air where you have to just know where the theoretical roads are. No, that's never going to happen.
Right.
You're going to be over somebody's house and run out of gas. No, flying cars are never going to be a thing. And so it's the exact same thing. I mean, they're smaller, but if one of these things comes down, it can still do damage to your house, your car, your deck.
Right.
So I follow it real close because it is the Wild West right now.
I had no idea. I
got one in the living room. I have one in the living room, a really nice one, but I'm not flying it over people's backyards because privacy issues. And exact same thing here. And in Texas, privacy issues can be dealt with, which seems like a problem.
Right. I can see. I guess there's, again, I think for me, I guess maybe, it's all about convenience. I think more nowadays is like, for these drones or having delivery services offered to you. Whereas back in the day, you're basically screwed.
Absolutely. So, and when you're sick, you're homesick.
Right.
And now you've got to go get medicine. Worst thing in the world. How are you going to do that?
Right. Exactly.
You can't.
You can't.
You're gonna roll. You're gonna lay down on the sidewalk and roll to the CVS.
Right.
No.
Oh, the CVS.
You're just gonna suffer. You're just gonna suffer.
The CVS near me when I was out of work for a week and I had to get medication and I was like in so much pain and driving and I don't mind doing everyday tasks like that, but something like if there was a drone for the service, and I don't have a thing with Walgreens, but I was with CVS, but if I were to change up and if there was a drone, sign me up.
Absolutely.
Sign me up.
Absolutely. I'm just worried about the privacy issues. If they're going to fly over the roads, okay, we can have that conversation.
Right.
Or they're going to fly real high. Maybe we can have that conversation. But drones flying over your backyard, I'm likely to try and take it down.
Right.
If it's low enough. So I can definitely see somebody in Dallas trying to take it down if it's coming over their property. Yeah, so it's just a weird choice of place is my point. Austin would make more sense if you were going to try it in Texas.
Yeah.
Somewhere like San Francisco, San Diego, if you're going to try it somewhere where, privacy is kind of already a thing of the past.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But what else? I like the idea. There are going to be implementation issues that I think they're going to have to suffer. Yes.
And hopefully, hopefully I'm not going to see this happen. There's going to be any shooting starting in Texas and on the news. And again, all right. Also, this week was earnings week, and there's a couple of news highlights from the quarter. AT&T again saw wireless customer returns to service and amid aggressive promotions, particularly for the iPhone 13, as overall profits surged in the third quarter. The company posted a net gain of 928,000 postpaid phone customers or people with higher credit scores who pay their bills at the end of the month, which is said was the highest level in more than 10 years. AT&T was among the carriers that offered a free iPhone 13 Pro or 13 Mini with an eligible trade-in. On the media side, AT&T says global subscriber base of HBO Max subscribers was 69.4 million, up to 12.5 million over a year ago. And
up by, not up to.
Up by.
Which is an impressive statistic, right? That 12.5 million new subscribers in a 12-month period is insane. Mm-hmm. But that accounts for like a 30% increase over its position this quarter last year. I mean, that's a huge gain, especially when you take into consideration I can't think of a single thing that I would subscribe to HBO Max for. That makes it even more impressive to me.
Well, I have HBO, but I have HBO Max with the
because of it.
So, yeah,
and I'm curious what percentage of that is hardline subscribers that get HBO Max, and how much of that is people who are subscribed non-hardline.
That's a good question. Yeah, that's a good question. Yeah, I watched all the new series, but not the old series, so which I'm still getting caught up on. So. Domestically, its base grew to 45.2 million from 38 million a year ago. So
that means the majority of its growth was in the United States.
Yep, exactly. During its third quarter earnings announcement on Wednesday, Verizon revealed that, quote, more than 1 in 4 consumer wireless phone customers now have a 5G capable device.
And 16 of them get to use it.
Right. And I have Verizon Wireless and I don't have 5G. In July, the company said it had upgraded, quote, approximately 20% of its wireless customers to the new devices. The continued boost in 5G adoption once again helped grow Verizon's revenue in a quarter. The carrier reported an adjusted earnings per share of $1.41 on revenue of $32.9 billion. Is now analysis polled by Yahoo Finance expecting an EPS of $1.36, with revenues of $33.2 billion. Shares of Verizon were up more than 2% in morning trading.
That makes sense.
Mhm.
So their actual revenue was a little lower, but their profit was actually up.
Mhm.
That's good. That means that they found some way to fix profits while still trying to roll out 5G nationwide and all these other big expenditures. They still managed to cut something somewhere.
Right.
That's impressive.
Right, and they also aggressively encourage 5G phone upgrades, and have spent the last few months rolling out upgrade offers to new and existing customers.
Which
It has,
costs them, by the way, right?
yep,
Because trying to keep an existing customer with a discount on a phone is a loss.
hmm
And even with the aggressive promotions, they still manage to cut something
right,
and beat expectations.
hmm and also incentivize the moves by offering deep discounts on new devices if consumers willing to trade in their current phones and sign up for or switch to one of their pricier unlimited plans from known as Do More, Play More, or Get More. The promotions seem to be working. During the quarter, the company's consumer division reported a net addition of 423,000 wireless postpaid customers. Of that number, 267,000 were phones and 223,000 were, quote, other connected devices. The carrier lost 67,000 tablet users during the period.
That's not unexpected. Everybody's losing tablet customers.
Yeah.
Connected tablets are becoming less and less popular, and pocket MiFi type devices are becoming more popular because you can use it across devices. The idea of a directly connected tablet or laptop never made sense to me because it doesn't cost any less and you get more this way.
Yep. Postpaid accounts belonging to customers who pay their bills in the month are valued more highly by the Muslim community as a key metric for carrier success. Revenue from the company's consumer wireless division was $14 billion in the quarter, which it says is a 4% increase from 2020. In its business division, Verizon said it had 276,000 wireless postpaid net additions, of which 162,000 were phone users.
Wow.
Beyond
that means both statistics are pretty flat, half and half on proper phones and basically MiFi devices, connected devices, watches, MiFis, all kinds of things. They're going half and half on that across both consumer and business. That's interesting.
Yep. And lastly, beyond wireless, the company said had a net addition of 98,000 consumer Fios internet users, which it lost 68,000 Fios video customers as people continue to cut the cord.
Yeah, we're going to see a lot of that.
Yeah, and again, if it was me, because I have Fios TV and internet, if it was me, get rid of it. I can't. Yeah,
I tried to get rid of my TV package, and the local carrier said, "Well, for $10 we can give you 10 channels a la carte." And I'm like, "Deal."
Right.
That I'll take. I can choose any 10 non-premium channels. Yes. I'm in. That's way better than actually paying for cable. Yeah, a great deal.
Yeah, and I think a lot of companies, including more likely Verizon, is going to, because I know that they do offer that in their plans, where they'll only have like certain channels a month, and they're going to expand it more and more and more. So, but
I think a la carte's a great way to go.
It is. I agree.
I know that carrier fees and stuff for a long time prevented that concept, but Dish Network and DirecTV kind of threatened that at one point because they started only paying carrier fees on the stations that were subscribed to, because they had the packages, right? And so then I think it was Dish Network said, we want to do an a la carte. And so they negotiated for carrier fees, and it worked. And as soon as that happened, I'm like, oh, that's coming to cable. There's no way, as these contracts end, that doesn't come to cable. And it's starting to head that direction.
Yeah.
So that's a good thing. It's absolutely a good thing a la carte is the way to go, because I only watch like 6 networks unless something big's happening, and then the other 3 get thrown in there.
Yeah, I usually stream everything. For me, my wife and my mom, they watch regular TV, but for me, I stream Hulu, Amazon Prime, HBO Max, and Paramount Plus. And yeah, but if it was me personally, and happy wife is a happy life.
For sure.
I would get rid of everything and just stream. Speaking of cable, Comcast is going direct to consumer, offering streaming TV service to consumers across the U.S., including outside traditional service areas with X-Class TV. It's a new line of smart television sets are built for streaming. For the first time, Comcast streaming entertainment platform will be available to consumers across the U.S. without an Xfinity subscription. The X-Class TVs are built by Hisense and priced starting at $298, which include 12 months of NBC Universal's Peacock Premium with ads. Normally, it's $4.99 a month for no extra costs. Live pay TV services available on the platform at launch include Hulu Live TV, YouTube TV, and Dish Network Sling TV. The sets also will provide access to streaming services including Netflix, HBO Max, Hulu, Disney Plus, Amazon Prime Video, and YouTube, as well as free ad-supported services including Comcast's Xumo, if I'm mispronouncing, I apologize, Viacom's CBS's Pluto, Fox's Tubi, and Amazon's IMDb TV. In the next few months, Comcast is saying it will launch pay TV streaming services from Xfinity and Charter Communications on X-Class TV. Those, however, will be only available to consumers located in Comcast and Charter cable service areas. Comcast teamed with Hisense to bring the first X-Class TVs to market in the U.S. The smart TV models include an integrated interface and voice remote to access live and on-demand streaming content from hundreds of apps and services. The first X-Class TVs from Hisense are available in select Walmart stores and in the coming weeks through Walmart.com. Sam Schwartz, Comcast's chief business development officer, says, quote, "We're thrilled to bring our award-winning entertainment experience to smart TVs nationwide, and for the first time offer consumers inside and outside of service areas a simple way to navigate their live and on-demand content, whether streaming or cable." Hisense X-Class TVs are available in 43-inch and 50-inch 4K Ultra HD models, pricing at $298 and $348 respectively. They include support for Dolby Vision HDR and HDR10, and it can enable the pass-through of Dolby Atmos from compatible content sources when a TV is connected to a compatible audio device. David Gold, president of Hisense USA, said in a statement, quote, "As a rapidly growing brand in the U.S., Hisense is committed not only to quality products, but also to providing an array of options for our customers. We're excited to partner with Comcast to bring the first X-Class TVs to market in the U.S."
I don't think that Comcast understands their place in the market. They managed to beat out Electronic Arts as the most hated company in America.
Yeah,
so if you're going to buy a Hisense television, are you going to buy a Comcast branded one? It seems like no to me. That seems like I'm just going to go with the Hisense one, because I'm either going to get Roku built in, which I know what I'm getting, or I'm going to get Google TV built in, which again, I know what I'm getting. Whereas with this is another platform on which developers are going to have to build and deploy apps. If somebody's going to abandon something, it's going to be this.
But playing devil's advocate, wouldn't it be wouldn't it be great for, like, they're getting all these services? Wouldn't that be great to have that on a Hisense?
Well, I mean,
Versus,
you already can
good point.
through Google
Okay,
TV or Roku that are
fair,
built into Hisense's TVs normally.
fair enough.
This is a third development platform.
Mm,
Well, more than third, because you've also got Amazon Fire Sticks, you've got Apple TV. There's all
right.
these platforms, LG's WebOS. You've already got these platforms that you're building your apps for. Now
Mm,
you've got this other one
mm,
that is owned and operated by the most hated company in America. The fact that they have any of these services already is amazing to me.
mhm.
But if any of them start having issues, right? They start having to scale back. Let's say Pluto, right?
Mhm.
Because I can't imagine that thing stays around forever, because how could it possibly? The 22 people who use it can't possibly generate enough revenue for that thing to stay going. So you're going to have to start cutting platforms at some point.
Mhm.
This seems like the place to start.
Mhm.
It just seems like a bad idea from a consumer standpoint to jump on a new thing that doesn't sound like it offers anything new.
Okay, so devil's
That's my
advocate.
thing. I
So
don't know what this is offering that's new that would draw me as a customer into it. That's what I don't know.
okay, well, here's my thinking. Maybe I'm kind of reaching a little bit, but do you think that Comcast is basically want to offer, because they have Peacock because that their service, so maybe
Right?
it's prudent that, okay, we have Peacock, which we already own.
Mhm.
So let's team up with a manufacturer and can maybe win over people that have the Rokus and the sticks and bring it all in one circle.
Maybe, but I can do all that in my existing ecosystem, and it doesn't matter which one. Because
Right.
upstairs, I've got an LG WebOS because I had to. It was the last WebOS product I didn't own.
Mm.
In here, I've got the TV that used to live over here that sometimes still does. Is has Roku built into it. I've got a Roku in my bedroom. I've got the Xbox in my living room. I mean, I'm a little spread out,
Mhm.
but I'm unusual. Most people lean into a thing. They go Apple TV, they go Roku, they go WebOS, Google TV, whatever,
Mhm.
and they stay there
Right.
unless there's some big thing that makes it attractive. The
Right.
price, in fairness, makes it attractive. Not
Mhm.
gonna lie. A
Yeah.
43-inch Ultra HD for $298
Mhm.
with $60 worth of Peacock included.
Mhm.
Okay.
Right.
That's attractive from a price
Right.
point. But what if
But
I already have a Roku in the house or a Amazon Fire Stick? I'm not going to want two things, because for a couple bucks more, or maybe even less on Black Friday,
Mhm.
depending on what Black Friday looks like this year,
Right.
I might be able to get one for less that's already Roku powered
Right.
and already in my ecosystem. It's a weird, I don't know. I don't know what recommends this other than
Mhm.
that impressive price point. But
Yeah.
a Hisense TV or a TCL TV is already in that price point normally. So I don't know what recommends it.
Yeah.
They're gonna have some work to do to sell people on this, unless that TV is gonna be like $1.79 for
Mhm.
Black Friday, in which case they can get themselves, because that's what TCL did, right? That's how they established themselves in the United States, was they were the Black Friday TV for like 2 or 3 years. If Comcast wants to do that with Hisense, maybe they can establish themselves. I don't know. It seems like an uphill battle to me, and one that I don't know what it's worth, because you're not making money on TVs. You haven't made
Right.
money on TVs in 20 years.
Mhm.
So why? What's in it for them?
Right.
What's in it for them, and why take the time? Why not just go Google TV?
Mhm.
I know what's in it for Hisense, right? They're
Right.
getting paid by Comcast for every TV.
And I think maybe I think that Comcast wants to offer everything to their customers, and I think too maybe their play might be is that when they offer customers, a new service, they'll probably say, "Well, did you know that you get not only can you get this, you got Peacock. They'll talk about Peacock,
It's
but they'll
coming
also
first to X-Class TVs. This new service,
right
this new content coming first to X-Class TV and
exactly."
Xfinity subscribers.
Exactly. And what they're going to do is like a lot of what the customer Comcast reps maybe or sales representatives are going to probably put that in a package for a customer, and they'll think, wow, it's a great deal that I can get this, and this, and not even realize
because I can lease an Apple TV from Spectrum instead of a cable box. I can lease an Apple TV, or I can lease a television. I get okay. There are places where there's some possible tie-in for Comcast. Now they just have to sell me as a consumer on it.
Exactly. That's the key.
And that's going to be the hard part because people are already in their ecosystems.
Right.
How do you get somebody to switch from Android to iOS or from iOS to Android? It's a hard sell. And now you're going to do it in your living room. Ooh, harder sell. That seems like a hard sell too.
Yep.
Especially to a new, unproven ecosystem.
Right.
Unless, of course, this is a UI on top of Google TV, in which case all of this is null and void.
Right. Viewpoint. Yep. See, like the way you're thinking. See, there you go. All right. The Verge is reporting the union representing film production crews has avoided a strike with an agreement that will see its members paid up to 30% more on streaming productions. In an informational brief, IATSE tweeted that wages will increase for long-form, episodic, and miniseries of up to 30% depending on classification. Those both depend on the size of the issuing company, with rates higher for services with 20 million or more subscribers. Long-form production between $20 million and $32 million used to get discounts if they're headed to streaming services, but that will no longer be the case. On top of higher wages, members will also see improved workplace conditions. That includes employer funding of health and pension plans, along with revised terms for producers that tend to rely a lot on overtime. In addition, the union is stating, quote, workers under the IATSE basic agreement across the U.S. will be entitled to the same sick leave benefits as California members.
Now, it's important to note that this is a temporary agreement.
Right. It has to be voted on by union.
Well, the union was hoping to essentially use this as an opportunity to renegotiate the overall contract with its members. And that's not what happened. Right. What happened was an agreement was reached to patch the existing contract. And so when the contract expires on this, I think in mid 2023, actual negotiations will happen. A new contract will go into place. But they do have the leverage of this being in place as a patch now to be able to ask for it again. Essentially, this is a test to see what comes of it, whether or not it becomes a problem for the production companies. Do they start charging Netflix more? Does Netflix stop producing as much? Because this is all about Netflix. Mm-hmm. We can pretend that this is about the streaming industry. Nobody cares about Peacock and HBO Max when it comes to this contract. Everybody cares about Netflix and Disney Plus. Mm-hmm. Disney Plus doesn't have as many subscribers as HBO Max. The production companies don't care. It's about how they get paid by Disney and Netflix. And so if Netflix and Disney aren't interested in paying the higher production rates, because obviously production costs are going to go up. Right. If they're not interested in paying it as much, then maybe the streaming companies have some fight back against the union. So it'll be interesting to see what happens. I think mid 2023 is when the existing contract expires. that's completely coming from memory from a story that happened a week and a half ago.
Well,
so I don't remember for sure, but I think it's mid 2023. So this is basically, they're giving themselves just under 2 years to experiment with this and make sure it works, which I think is the best way to do it.
Yeah, from experience, a lot of the union contracts that I am known of, it usually is 3 years. Usually, they do, usually back in the day.
This one was longer. IATSE tends to do longer contracts because the rules tend to fall in their favor, and well, so they try to lock them in.
Yeah, that's the key. But also too, a lot of times from what I understand, usually it's because a lot of things. Because what happens is like before back in the day, with the it's 5 years, but within those 5 years, things do change, and they do make recommendations and revisions. So with this, something tells me it's going to be more likely it's going to be a 3-year, either a 3-year contract or
January 1st, 2023 is when the current contract expires. December 31st, 2022 at midnight. So January 1st, 2023. Okay. I thought it was July 1st, but it's January 1st. The J's got stuck in my head.
Got it. Okay.
So we're in the middle of a contract. I don't remember when it started, but we're in the middle of a contract, and this is when it ends.
Okay.
They patched the existing one, and then a new contract will be created starting January 1st, 2023. They're basically using the next 14 months to experiment to make sure that this works for everybody. And then they'll go back to the drawing board and have conversations for a more permanent solution.
Yeah. Well, speaking of Netflix, some 142 million households around the world watched Squid Game in its first 4 weeks of release. Netflix is saying that on Tuesday, making the Korean language show the streaming giant's, quote, biggest TV show ever. Netflix is saying the show's success exemplified how it has built, quote, deep relationships with creative communities around the world to produce local TV and film in approximately 45 countries. The limited series is about indebted people in a deadly contest for a cash prize, capturing the, quote, cultural zeitgeist. This is from Netflix saying in a shareholder letter announcing its third quarter results. The show's, quote, mind-boggling viewership boosted its #1 spot among Netflix programming in 94 countries, including the U.S. Netflix says demand for consumer products to celebrate the fandom of Squid Game is high, and those items are on their way to retail now. And I've seen about maybe 5 minutes of Squid Games. I couldn't watch it. I couldn't watch it.
It's an extended version of an episode of Sliders, which is one of my favorites, but not because of the show, because of somebody who's in the episode. The trailer looked terrible. The voiceover looks like a 60s Godzilla movie. Like, it's so poorly done. It seemed so like late night sci-fi channel, low budget, like Shark versus Anaconda. I'm like, no, that doesn't look interesting at all. I have no interest in it. It simply does not look good to me.
No,
I have been baffled by the interest in it because it just doesn't look like a good series. Nothing about it seems to recommend it.
You know, and when you watch it, like when there's a trailer for a movie or a TV show, usually the trailer is intriguing. You're like inclined to watch it. I watched the trailer. I was somewhat inclined, but then when I actually saw the first episode or 5 minutes of it, like I was thinking along thinking the same lines as you. What is the fascination with this is mind-boggling to me.
Yeah, I don't get it.
Well, they got so.
But whatever, other people do. Whatevs.
Yeah. Yep. All right, and rounding up the Netflix the Netflix stories of the week. We have what's coming to Netflix in November. So we have arriving November 1st. You have the Claus Family, 21 Jump Street.
I just want to point this out real quick. November 1st, we have a Christmas movie. I just had to get that out there.
Yep.
People are still going to have cobwebs on their doors.
Okay, so you have 21 Jump Street, Adam's Family Values.
Adam's Family Values. Wasn't that already on Netflix? I think it must have gone away at some point. I've definitely watched it on Netflix.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, Angry Birds Season 4. There's so much happening there. I didn't know that there was an Angry Birds show.
I didn't know there were 4 seasons.
There are 4 seasons. Yikes. What is 60 Days In, and how can there possibly be 6 seasons of something called 60 Days In? That sounds like a self-limiting series run to me, but that's okay. Bram Stoker's Dracula. That's good. Oh, this is not as good as last month. Johnny Mnemonic. I mean, if you're in the mood for an acid trip on your television. Oh, The Last Action Hero. Oh, that was terrible.
Agreed.
I have only once considered asking for my money back at a theater, and that was it. People I was with loved it. Mm-hmm. It was kind of the beginning of the end of the friendship. Snakes on a Plane. Oh, not a movie that's going to work out well for me. Oh, there's just... You remember when we did this last month?
Yep.
And it was just excitement after excitement after excitement.
And then...
Lords of Scam. Not going to lie. That sounds like an interesting documentary on the 3rd. I mean, it could be terrible. Right. November 5th, Big Mouth Season 5. Okay. Finally, we've hit something that's interesting, but I knew that was coming, so it's not a revelation to me, but I'll pretend like it is.
Yep.
This is... Oh... Father Christmas is back on November 7th. More Christmas movies in November. Wow. Nope. 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 I'm not looking at your screen, but we're at the same place. Shame on Netflix. Mariah Carey's All I Want for Christmas Is You. Nope. I don't even know what it is. I don't know what it is. And my stomach hurts. It's really interesting to me that Survivor season 16 and 37 are headed to Netflix. Doesn't CBS have its own streaming service?
Yes, it does. And it's on Paramount Plus.
Yeah, I know. It's initially the reason why I subscribed.
Oh boy.
Johnny Test's Ultimate Meatloaf Quest.
This is why we should have bonus content. We're definitely going to bring this up again. Bonus content for package this, for future episodes or special episodes. Some of them, this is
Tear Along the Dotted Line. What could that possibly be?
I don't know.
I'm going to open it over here.
Oh boy.
Oh yeah, Tiger King season 2 is coming November 17th.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. That is lightning you will not capture in a bottle twice. I'm sorry. That That was a success, not necessarily because of what it was. That was a success because of when it was. That was a success because people were locked in their homes. It was new content, and it was weird beyond belief. If that had released 6 months earlier, nobody would know Joe Exotic's name. Okay. Tear along the dotted line. A cartoonist in Rome with his armadillo for a conscience. I'm done. I don't need to read any further. Thank you, Netflix. You have made it very clear that this is not made for me. The Cowboy Bebop series is hitting on the 19th, which is supposed to be a decent adaptation. We'll see, because all the other ones have been painful. I'm sorry. I had no idea that Netflix had produced a movie adaptation of Jonathan Larson's Tick, Tick, Boom.
I didn't even know.
Tick, Tick, Boom was Jonathan Larson's first major stage show before Rent.
Okay.
Andrew Garfield and Vanessa Hudgens. That's going to be an interesting. I mean, I'm going to watch it. Mm-hmm. This will be the first time in a long time that I will be awake at 3 a.m. for the release of a thing on Netflix, because I have always loved Tick, Tick, Boom. I think it's a brilliant production, and I had no idea that this was happening. Okay.
Well, and if you go down, what's leaving Netflix, a couple seasons of Survivor. Season 20 is leaving on November 14th, and season 28.
Pulling 20 off of Netflix is a good move, because season 20 is one of the best.
Okay. I think I watched one season. I'll have to probably check it out, because I only seen one season of Survivor, and I think it was the first year, and I think so. Okay.
They got real good for a while, and then this season they're like, everything you loved about Survivor, forget that. We're doing something different. We're not even going to do it for the same number of days. Nothing you know about the show exists, and it's horrible. CBS, fix it. Do not do another season this bad. Please go back to the formula that has worked for the last 21 years, because this is not it. This does not work. This is terrible. I think I'm 2 episodes behind, because I can't bring myself to care that much. Normal.
You were less than 5 seconds ago. You were dead serious.
Yeah. It's hard to watch somebody ruin a franchise that works and has worked for so long, right? It's one of the most watched television series of all time. It works because the thing works. Yeah, they throw in little changes. Yeah, every couple seasons there's a new weird little twist, but not. And Jeff Probst, the host, says at the beginning of the first episode, "This is season 41, but drop the 4, think of the 1, because this is a new Survivor." And I'm like, "Oh, that's not going to work out for you, bud." and if you look online, everybody agrees. Bad idea. Go back. It's not good.
All right. Well, I'll have to bring myself to see it.
Oh, Chef is leaving on November 30th. That's a good series. Anyway, sorry.
No, that's okay. That's all right. All right. So again, I think, because we've been talking about it, and I think that, I definitely, as far as special content, for the podcast, I definitely, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to put a pin on it. I'm definitely going to, when we come across it, I'm going to put everything together, with Prime and Hulu and what have you. That's, Yeah, we're definitely gonna do that. The more we talk about it,
Yeah,
you know,
it needs
and
to happen.
yeah, we have to do that. Definitely have to do that. Probably, definitely in the new year. Definitely gonna do that. All right. All right. With that, that is tech news for this week for Sunday, October 24th, 2021. Thank you so much for tuning in for this week's episode. Show notes from this episode can be found at gncweekly.com. Also, be sure to check out the last tech news and commentary from geeknewscentral.com. And be sure to tune in Mondays and Thursday evenings at geeknewscentral.com/live for the Geek News Central podcast. There is a programming note. I'm going to be guest hosting tomorrow's episode, which is going to be audio only. Todd's away, so he'll be back this coming Thursday. And then be sure to tune in and watch at gncweekly.com/live. Going forward, everything with everything going well with me and with with Scott, since there's nothing else going on until January, Friday evenings at 8 p.m. Eastern time. So please be sure to like and subscribe to the GNCWIR channel on YouTube. Also, please make sure to click on the bell and always select notifications so you will not miss the next episode. Also, be sure to share this episode with people you know or check out the podcast. Also, be sure to subscribe to the podcast on your favorite podcast app. And be sure to tune in to F5 Refresher Technology with Scott and Abram Pelch tomorrow evening, 9 p.m. Eastern.
Yep.
Okay. At f5live.tv/join us. And then going forward,
back to Sundays.
Back to Sundays. Or be sure to subscribe to the podcast on your favorite podcast app. If you have a comment on this week's episode, we would love to hear them. Head on over to gncweekly.com/connect and connect via email, Twitter, or Facebook. I'm on Twitter. I'm at Kirk Corliss. Scott is on Twitter at TTMABO. Till the next episode of GNC Week in Review. So long.
Ciao.